Labas rytas. Oh. Thank you. How are you? Okay, good, good. The previous speaker talked about digitalization in the near future, right? I will talk about analogization instead. I will flip it completely. I spent the last 25 or so years looking into communication. What we say, how we sound, how we look, how we listen. And I will give you a couple of truths about that. 5. You can call them lessons, principles, success factors, doesn't matter. It's the same. Did you know that we human beings started to speak 250,000 years ago? Before that, it was all body language and sound. 6,000 years ago, the written language came. And 30 years ago, we were blessed with PowerPoint. I think that communication is going backwards sometimes. 5 truths about communication. Following a customer conversation, a customer meeting, the analog communication. But I'd like to show you one thing first that I saw on LinkedIn just the other day. Now, I guess that you sometimes will meet a prospect like that. That is either dumb, ignorant, or stressed out. But you still like to get that customer meeting. I cannot help you with that. I don't know how to do that. The last 11 years, I've been self-employed, and I just don't know how to make a cold call. Probably because I've been blessed or something. I've been lucky enough not to have to. But I like for you to know that already now. What I will focus on instead is when you actually have the meeting. And are you ready now for the 5 truths of communication? Say yes if you're ready, just so I know. You are ready, great. So for the first one, I would like some help from you. Because I will show now, on the next slide, a person A and a person B. And then you will see 3 things about them. 3 things about them. And I want you to shout out which one you like the best within a second from when you see it. Do you understand the task? You shout A or B, which one ever you like the best. Are you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I estimate 92.3% of you said A. And then after a while, you started to laugh because you thought about, oh, they are the same. Well, they're not the same. This is what's called the primacy effect in psychological language. The primacy effect is the power of the first impression. And you, as salespeople, need to know this, of course, because you will have a lot of first impressions. Am I right? I mean, you will meet new clients, you will meet new persons at existing clients. And every time they meet you, they feel a new first impression. I say feel because that's what happened first. The signal to the brain is twice as fast to the emotional part than to the logical part. So the first lesson is that first impressions last. According to the Center for Body Language in Belgium, 70% of all first impressions last. People don't want to change once they form an opinion. And they do it quickly. Within a fraction of a second, they decide if they like you or not, if you're a threat or not. This is what happens in your customer's brain. The first thing is when they observe you, person A or person B, the signal goes to this part of the brain, the oldest part of the brain. It's sometimes called the reptile brain. We can view it as a bodyguard because it has one purpose only, survival. If they found you to be somewhat like person B, angry, they will feel threatened and there will be a red light. If they think that you're more like person A, smiling, friendly. I mean, I know that in old school Soviet Union, if you smile, you look stupid. That's what they think. I know that. But for the rest of us, smiling means I'm not threatened. Then it's a green light. The bodyguard tells the CEO of the brain, which is the emotional part, the limbic system, about this big, green light, everything is fine. Now the CEO of the brain, where all the decisions are made, will like you more. So what happens then? Then we have the second lesson. Because now they want to prove that this was right. So the primacy effect comes into play. The second part is the halo effect. That means that they will think that if they like you emotionally, they will decide that you are also friendly, good-looking, intelligent, and that you like the same music as I do. Of course, they have no idea, but this is what happens. What more do they need to do to strengthen the feeling that you are a good person? Well, this is lesson number 2. If I am like you, I tend to like you. If I'm not like you, I tend to not like you. We have a fundamental need as human beings to belong. And if you are like me, then I feel that we belong together. So how can you do that? You match them. You imitate them. To a certain extent. I mean, look at teenagers in a bus or on the square. You can see immediately who belongs to the group. They talk the same, they act the same, they dress the same, they even sound the same. You know, it's the same. What can you do? You match them with their words. Use the same words as they do. If they say, we need to ramp up productivity, you shouldn't talk about increasing quality or quantity. You should say ramping up productivity, just like them, because then they will feel that you talk their language. The second thing you can do is to match them in their tempo. If they are fast, you can be fast. If they are slow, take some pauses. Can you recognize that I speak pretty fast? So I'll tell you a story when I totally failed. Totally failed. It was humiliating. Here's what happened. I went to this big global company, to the HR department. I got a foot in the door. I got the meeting. I see their signs on your shopping street. They are there. And I was so eager. I was talking fast, quick, like this, pam, 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 pam. But the guy I met, he was really slow. But I couldn't match him. I kept on going. If you would have seen our auras or energies, you would have seen me chasing him and he backing away like this. Of course, we sat in our chairs. Everything was polite, but that's what happened. When I came out from that meeting, I was doing this. I train people in this. Oh, what a junior mistake. I called him up. I said, thank you for meeting me today. I think this was a really bad meeting. And he said, what? And I said, yes, I was too eager. We didn't connect really. I'm sorry. And then he said, no, everything is fine. You got good stuff. I know what you got, and let's keep in touch. Do you think he ever called me after that? I tried to call him. He never answered. I lost it because of that reason. I couldn't match him. The third part you can do when you want to match somebody is the way you look. I mean, if you have electricians as your customers, you don't dress up like I do now. If you have bankers, you probably shouldn't have too many tattoos in your face and jeans and t-shirts. Simple. But it's also about body language, because we want to feel alike. Now, let me give you a sign of warning here. If you do this too much, you will come across as fake. I mean, if they do this and you immediately do this, they will feel, okay, I was probably wrong in my first impression. Skip that. But you do a great job. So now we go into lesson number 3. Be interested instead of interesting. This is my favorite one. Be interested instead of interesting. What is the number one topic that everybody likes to talk about if they have a chance to? Themselves. But you cannot do that in a sales meeting. Let them talk. There is an excellent way to do that. You ask questions and you listen to the answer. How do you ask questions? Well, listen to Neil Rackham at 2 o'clock and he will tell you exactly how to ask questions. Using the SPIN methodology is a great tool. But then again, you also have to listen. And you can listen on many levels. The worst level is when you listen only to respond. You listen for key words. The customer says, you know, our cost of operations is pretty high. And you jump in and say, stop talking. Let me tell you how I can help you. Instead, if you listen to the whole sentence, they will say, you know, our operation cost is pretty high, but we really need to focus on customer service now. Ah, okay, now I get it. This is what you should focus on. The first level is just like when you have a dinner with friends. And now I have to check. Clap your hands if you have friends. I estimate 89% of you have friends. Clap your hands if you have dinner with friends sometimes. Okay, you do, good. So you have dinner with friends, and then you tell a story, a memory. Oh, you know, what happened to me 2 weeks ago, and then you tell the story. Nobody listens. Instead, someone else says, that reminds me of what happened to me the other week. Let me tell you about my story. And then the third person says, that was nothing. You should have seen me and my brother when we went. And then you have a mountain of stories on the table. And nobody has listened. But they had a good time. That's okay at the dinner with friends. That is not okay when you meet a customer. And then you have the third level of listening, and that's when you can really observe. You have a capacity to listen to 1,000 words per minute. That means that our speech is pretty slow. You have an overcapacity. Use that. Use that to really detect body language. I love body language. Do they nod? Do they look away? How do they sound? Do they look interested? All of that you can do as well, if you do that right. The best way to listen is to shut up. It's true. Not only what you say, but also that inner voice in your head that keeps talking and judging. And now I know that half of you are wondering, which inner voice is he talking about? That inner voice. If you can be still, just let it be. And be curious instead. They will love it. They will love it. I still remember going to I was moderating an internal sales event, and then in the evening there was a prize ceremony. I was supposed to handle that as well. But then there was a dinner. There was a dinner, and I was sat down next to this person that I can only describe as gray. There were no energy whatsoever coming out from him. I'm sure that if he went to a galleria, the door will not open. But I decided I need to be curious here. I need to be curious. I need to change my perspective. And I started to ask questions to him. And he blossomed. He became interesting to me. He talked about his passions in life, how he helped kids that had problems with drugs or other parents with drug problems and stuff like that, and how he helped them to get a better life. You should have seen his body language. If you have persons who are engaged, if you are the same, your body language will go higher and higher. You will defy gravity instead of going lower and lower and lower. That's what happened to him. I don't know how it is in Lithuania, but in Sweden we don't have much body language. This is body language in Sweden. If you compare that to an Italian, when they speak like this, you know what you need to do to make an Italian shut up? Handcuffs. Do you know what you need to do to make a Swede shut up? Turn off PowerPoint. Do you know what you need to do to make a Finn shut up? Nothing. Be interested rather than interesting. then you become interesting. Ask the right questions. Of course, they are more strategic. They are about the problems. They are about the impact. They are about the solutions, the value. Let me share with you what another sales trainer once said. I listened to him and I thought to myself, what an idiot. I hope he runs out of business quickly. This is what he said. When you want to sell something, you don't really have to listen. All you have to do is to tell them the advantages of your product. With this product, you can do A. And if they say, I'm not interested, then you just go on with B, C, D. And finally, they will say, that's interesting. Isn't that stupid? What has happened? You have shown that you haven't listened at all, right? That's what he said. But that makes me come into the third lesson. The fourth lesson. Here we go. And now I'm supposed to switch this one. I don't know, technician, this screen has gone black, and this works. Great. So the fourth lesson is words matter. Let's say that you made a great first impression, and then they like you even more because you are alike, and you asked all the right questions, and you listened to the answer. Now they expect you to talk. This is a problem, because we like to talk, don't we? Salespeople, I remember still when I was a kid, they said, well, you don't know how to use a hammer or a screwdriver, but you're good at talking, you should be a salesperson. I didn't realize that I need to have big ears rather than a big mouth to be a good salesperson. But words matter. You have the power to make people feel the way you want them to feel with the words you use. You can even change people's physiology based on that. Here's an experiment that was done in Florida among university students. Half of the students read a text, the left-hand side, they read a text with words like old, slow, and tired. Half of the students read a text with words like young, fast, alert. And what they did then, that they wanted to measure how fast they walked down a corridor. Would it be a difference? Yes, there was a big difference. The one who read words like slow, old, and tired walked slower down the corridor than the one who read words like young, fast, alert. So your words matter. And I propose you use stronger language, stronger words. I hope that none of you said something like, I think perhaps our product might be possibly, but not sure, could potentially help you, dear client. Our solution can help you. Fewer words, better words. And then, of course, focus on the value of it. Don't do what the sales trainer said. This can do A, this can do B, C, D, E. You like F? Great, I got you. The only thing you've done is to show them that you haven't listened, as I said, but also you made the product very expensive. Because you told them everything the product can do that they have to pay for that they don't need. But of course, you do a great job. You do a great job. Fabulous job. So you tell them exactly how this can help them, how this can increase their value. And they will perceive that the cost is lower than the value. The value is higher than the cost, and that's why they want to buy. Now they are interested. Now they are really interested. Which takes us to lesson number 5, or truth number 5, in the customer process. This is a Swedish expression. I don't know if does it translate? Does it work? Yeah? Scared boys will never kiss beautiful girls. I've seen many good salespeople who fail at the last minute. The customer is interested, but they don't dare to take that next step, to create a customer commitment. But this is what's needed. If this is business-to-business sales, then it doesn't have to be a contract, but it should lead towards a contract somehow. We have different decision styles. Sometimes we feel empowered, strong. I have the resource, I have the budget, I want to decide. Sometimes we are a bit more hesitant. You know, we think about, I'm not sure. It is a good product, it is a good solution, but I'm still not sure. I need to be reassured. And sometimes we just say, I need more time. Have you experienced anything of that yourself? Yeah? I have. I bought the 2 biggest things I've ever bought. I just said, I can decide. Our family bought a house, the biggest investment I've done, and I haven't even seen the house. My wife said, this is a good house. I say, we buy it. I called up an auto shop. I said, do you have this environmental friendly car? And they said, yes, I'll buy it. But then I went to the store to pick out the suit for you guys so I could look good when I meet you. 45 minutes. The salesperson just, yes, you do look good. Yes, it is good, you know, yeah, please buy it. And I said, I need more time. I went out and then I went back in to buy it. So depending on the situation you're in, depending on what position you have, and depending on the context around it, you can have different decision styles, but they matter. So I'll show you these 3 decision styles. The top one is I decide. They are decisive. They are empowered. What do you need to do with them if you want to make them commit? Well, I'll tell you what you shouldn't do to them. You shouldn't tell them what to do. You shouldn't propose. What you should do instead is to ask them. They want you to ask them so that they can tell you how to move forward. What is the natural next step? What is your decision? How do we move on from here? They will love it for you. They will love you for it, because then they can tell you. If you tell them, you take away their thunder. You take away their power. They don't want that. The second one, you should propose. I'm not sure. Well, let them summarize it step by step. Are we in agreement that this is your problem or opportunity? Yes. And this has this type of impact if you don't solve it? Yes. And you can see that our product or solution can help you with that? Yes. Well, then I propose to you that we do this. This should be the next step. Much easier for them to take a decision now. And then we have the third one. I need more time. And I know that some of you will go for the manipulative, limited resource psychology. And you will say to them, yeah, but I'm sorry, but if you cannot decide within the next 5 seconds, I'm not sure I can give you the price. We only have 10 left in our warehouse, and you should probably decide now, otherwise you probably won't get it until Christmas. You better make sure that this is right, because if you put pressure on them, they don't want to buy from you. Have you experienced that? Yeah. It works if you're selling phone subscriptions outside the store, if you make 100 calls to sell something, then you might want to do something like that. But if you want to have a long-term business-to-business relationship with somebody, you just don't go that way. Instead, you ask them why they need more time and when you can have a decision in that case. Because now they can tell you why they need more time, which means that you can also help them. Because it could be that they are not the decision maker. Well, fine. Can we meet the decision maker? It could be that they need to check more data. Can I help you with the data? But never forget to also ask when you, in that case, can take the next step. It's a win-win. I mean, there are tons of closing techniques. And if you read Neil Rackham's book, Spin Selling, he will say that closing techniques are not necessary. If you've done everything right up until this point, you don't need it. I'm not sure I agree totally, but it could be that I'm not as good of a salesperson as Neil wants me to be. Then again, he says that open questions or closed questions, when you have this kind of probing phase, the interesting phase, is not interesting either. And I said, yes, it is. But it depends on the quality of the questions, of course. So that was 5 lessons, from start to finish, from first impression to last impression. There are, of course, 15 other lessons we can talk about, but I won't do that. Instead, I will summarize this for you. And let's see if I can get that up. Here we go. Remember the power of the first impression. It's so vital. If you do it right, much easier. Much easier. Match them. Second bullet. If you want them to like you, be like them. Third, be interested rather than interesting. This is the most important part of a customer conversation. The one who asks the question, steer the conversation. Fourth, use fewer, better words. And when you present, make sure that there is room for them to talk to as well. And finally, make sure that you have a commitment of some sort at the end. Because if you have no commitment, it's been a waste of time. And probably you should set some goals in the beginning so you know where you want to go with this. I know that some of you already connected with me on LinkedIn. Keep going. I will accept everyone who adds me there. Networking is the shit. I don't know about you, but this is how it works for me at least. I also told you that I like body language. You know, I've written 8 books. Some of them are in English. This one is called Understanding Body Language. It's a small picture book. 51 gestures and what they signal. You can find it on Amazon. But I brought 30 copies with me. If you want to be better emotional readers, not mind readers, I brought 30 copies. You can get them for free. Just find me at the break, and I will just hand it over to you. No strings attached. It's yours if you want to. If you want to know more about how I can help you as salespeople or sales team, you just contact me here or on those contact details. Now, I have 2 minutes to go, so I want to share with you one more story. You see, I have 2 sons, Elliot and Milton. Now, Milton is about 12 years old, soon 13, and Milton is a super communicator. He is Antoni Lacinai 5.0. When he was 6 years old, we talked about being interested rather than interesting. And we talked about the difference between being able to hear and being able to listen. And I asked him, Milton, what is the difference between being able to hear and being able to listen? And he said to me, you're the consultant. You get paid for this. Don't you know? Well, you know, I know, but I want to hear your opinion. And then he said, just like a French, he said, you know, this is how Frenchmen talk. They say, ça va bien. Always, must have a listen to the French presidential debate all the time, like that. So he said to me, I can tell you, to be able to hear is to be able to register sound waves. That means that you're not deaf. But to listen, that is when you really try to understand what the other person is saying. But not only saying, Daddy, also what he means or she means. Did you understand what I said? And I looked at him and I said, welcome to the company, my son. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Antoni. What a lovely presentation.
Thank you so
very much.
Thank you.
Oh, that's
I get
small
this?
gift for you. Yeah,
well, then you get this. Now I only have 29 left. So there you go.
Thank you very much.
This is for you.
Does it have a signature? No.
I'll fix it.
Okay, thank you. Look, Antoni, I know that all the speakers, they have something left for the very end. So that's the very end of your presentation. So I have 2 questions actually for you.
2 questions?
Yeah, 2
Okay.
questions, though we are out of time already. But anyway, 2 questions. And you choose which one to answer, right? So the first question, what would be your one extra bonus recommendation for all of us? Or alternatively, what would be your best wish for sales community here in Lithuania? Choose one and go with it.
All right, so one of the basic foundations that I think about communication is what you think, what you say, and what you do will affect the way people feel, and the way you feel as well. This is a basic communication truth. I haven't talked about it here. But let me take that one and say, never in that communication truth did I mention PowerPoint, did I? You know I don't like PowerPoint by now. PowerPoint, you know, this is my advice. Don't use PowerPoint. PowerPoint is like alcohol, narcotics, and tobacco. You might get high using it, but the rest of us will suffer. That's the best advice I can give you.
Thank you very much, Antoni.
Hey,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, great pleasure having you here. Thank you very much. Antoni Lacinai.